Veterans Day is coming up soon, and because of COVID, we couldn't hold an assembly, but we still wanted to honor the veterans in our community.
So we had the opportunity to interview a couple of veterans in our community, and we wanted to share their experiences with you.
Jason Williams, lived for the past 15 years here in Brigham City. I was born and raised here. My wife and I have been married for 28 years. We have 4 kids.
My name is Jerry Capener, and I grew up in Riverside, Utah. Graduated from Bear River High School. Then I went to university, Utah State, then Brigham Young University, and then I went to dental school.
I served for 13 years in the military with the Utah National Guard.
I graduated from dental school in 1971.
Yeah, I got a call the day after Christmas in 2002, and they said, you have 48 hours to get all your gear and report to National Guard headquarters in Draper, and then you're going to be deployed for an indeterminate amount of time to Southwest Asia. And I thought I was headed to Afghanistan because this was post 9/11, 2001, September 11th. And, at that time, we'd been attacked. The towers had collapsed. The attack on the Pentagon. American lives were taken on American soil. And I was ready. I was like, all right, let's go kick some, right? I didn't know at the time that we were going to be sent to Iraq. That really wasn't, in my thinking.
And our patients were retired military, and occasionally if the Coast Guard cutter came in, then we took care of the dental needs of the Coast Guard, active duty Coast Guard in Seattle.
My service ended in 2004 after a 1-year tour of duty in Iraq in support of Iraqi freedom with the 1st Marine Division, which is a little weird because I just said I was a member of the Utah National Guard, which is accurate. But when I got over to Iraq, they attached me to the 1st Marine Division.
And I served at the United States Coast Guard training camp, better known as the boot camp, in Alameda, California for 2 years.
I was an interrogator, so I interrogated captured prisoners for intelligence information.
I helped provide the dental services for those who joined the Coast Guard during the Vietnam War.
So I interrogated people to gain information, and I know that's a controversial topic for some people because of what's known as an enhanced interrogation measures. And we implemented a number of things to get information from individuals to try to save American lives and Iraqi lives as well. And we weren't there to be nice.
The base was always full, so we served there for 2 years, getting them dentally ready.
So we would interrogate someone for 3-4 hours, okay, and then say, we're done with this person, and the MPs would take them back to the holding compound or the prisoner compound. Then we'd watch carefully just when they were about ready to sleep, and then we'd grab them and throw them back in an exhaustive interrogation. And it's hard because it's another human being. At least I found it difficult because it's another human being that you're dealing with. But the reality of war is they're the enemy and they're trying to kill you. And that's sometimes a hard thing for people to understand. Like, in everybody's normal civilian day-to-day life, typically they're not facing someone who's trying to kill you. So the rules are different when it comes to war.
That's what we did, just regular dental services, getting all of the young men dentally fit to go out on their assignments wherever they might be, in Vietnam or could be somewhere in the United States on the Coast Guard bases throughout the United States.
I was the lead interrogator along with my 2 other guys. And then we had a dedicated Arabic interpreter. So he interpreted everything we said word for word in Arabic. he would sit behind the person we were interrogating and talk. The interrogation subject could never look at the interpreter, right? So you have to maintain absolute control when you're interrogating somebody, and sometimes that means you're, well, very forceful and not very nice.
We were always busy, but some of those above us in the higher ranking officers basically didn't do anything. We did it all, and so that was a challenge for me.
You know, I have a brother who said, if you ever want to question the sacrifice made by military members and their families, all you got to do is to go to one of those send-offs where men and women men and women who are soldiers say goodbye to their families, knowing there's a chance they may never come back. Yeah, that was the single hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
There was 5 other new dentists, and so I learned a lot from these other dentists who'd come from different dental schools. Our dental school was well known for doing certain procedures, and we didn't do a lot of surgery and a lot of root canals in our training, so the other new dentists had done a lot, so I learned a lot from them.
So it was physically really hard being over there. There was a lot of physical hardship, and the heat was absolutely horrible at times, just unbelievably hot.
We only served for those 3 years, and one of the reasons we got out is so we wouldn't have to move our family around, because family is so important to us, so we decided to come back to Utah and set up private practice.
We never stayed one place for very long. We were always on the move. Once we finally got to Baghdad, we had taken over what would be the equivalent of the Iraqi CIA building. So we had some form of build quarters, but it had been bombed, so it wasn't really safe. We were never totally safe, because wherever we were, if you were stationary and in a forward operating base or in a more central base, you were a kind of a sitting target, right? So they would always attack us. So that was another really hard thing, is just never feeling safe, right? Always looking over your shoulder, always anticipating an attack, never knowing where it was going to come from. Is it going to come from that 9-year-old girl? Is it going to come from that guy over there that's pretending it looks like a goat herder, right? And so that was tough, because we had a really hard time knowing who the enemy was, because they were kind of everywhere and nowhere.
Our base was a training base, and so only the recruits and the military people who were with them 24 hours a day were the only ones that were on base. The rest of us found our own housing in the local communities.
I was always on edge, always at night. That's when we were attacked most frequently, was at night. And so you'd be trying to get some sleep. I slept a lot under my Humvee, sometimes in the back of a Humvee. If there was a building or a tent to sleep in, sometimes we slept in those, although those wasn't always available. And just always, like, you never I don't think I ever really slept deeply, like every little noise. And then there was frequently there was, attacks with mortar rounds coming in and exploding, and you're trying to figure out what direction it came from, because you want to evade. Okay, where's the next one coming? They're dialing it in, and that noise and the feeling that comes from an explosion like that is something that just doesn't ever seem to leave me. Like fireworks on the 4th of July, there's a particular firework, it's just a really loud, solid white BAM! Okay, there's no sparkle with it. That's really close to a 10 millimeter mortar round. And so it just, those things are part of, I guess, the experience.
We missed our family. We had both grown up in the Brigham City greater area, Garland, Tremonton, and so we have a lot of brothers and sisters and nephews and nieces, and we wanted to spend time with them, with our parents.
I know some Army men and women and Marines that gave their life and died where I served. They never came home to their families. They never got to see their kid's birthday or another Christmas. And so, yeah, it brings up a lot of emotion because there are people who have gave the ultimate sacrifice. And so, there's some survivor's guilt, like, why did I live and they died? There's great appreciation for men and women who serve our country. Clearly our country has flaws and we're very divided right now, which is sad. There's a great quote by either General MacArthur or General Douglas back from World War II that said, "The soldier above all prays for peace because he knows more than any the burden of war." War is horrible. War is the worst hell I think there can be in society or in a civilized world. But sometimes it's necessary, unfortunately. There's enemies out there that want to kill Americans. They want nothing more than to annihilate American society. Okay, and the thing that stands between us and them are some brave soldiers, Marines, Airmen, and Coast Guard that keep us safe. So the thing I want people to think about is you can disagree with American policy, you can disagree with the person who's in the presidential or Oval Office. That's fine. You have every right to express your viewpoint and have your freedom of speech. That's what we fought and died for, and that's what we continue to fight and die for. But for heaven's sakes, please have the decency and respect of men and women who serve this country and put their life on the line.
As veterans, we find a lot of people who are very patriotic and respect the flag, respect the government, respect law and order, and just respect our country. But there are other people, especially on a national level, who do not respect the flag. And I only served here in the United States, but a lot of the veterans were at great risk in Vietnam, and some of them even in World War II that were wounded in action and spent a lot of time in helping preserve the freedoms not only of us in this country, but helping people in foreign countries. And so it's hard for us to look by and see people who are burning the flag, and they realize that the flag is only material, but it stands for freedom and liberty. Who some of them had friends and fellow people in their squads that didn't ever come back, and it's very difficult for them to stand by and see people disrespect our country and the laws. The flag stands for our country, the liberty, and the blood that was shed by many, many veterans.
There's an enemy out there that wants to do harm to American citizens and to my family. And I'm a soldier. I was then, I still am in some way. And so yes, I would answer the call of duty. It would be hard, knowing what sacrifice it takes, but there's certain things worth sacrificing for. So yeah, I'd do it.
Our patriotism came more from living in other countries than did serving in the military, because when we lived in other countries serving missions, we saw how other people lived and the liberties they didn't have and the liberties that we knew they could have, and even now we feel very blessed to live in this country.